It's been over 2 weeks since Blue Origin's NS-31 mission, but the controversy, far from over. The buzz isn't just about the flight itself, it's about what happened after the capsule landed. Millions watched the mission live across the globe. But what raised eyebrows was the moment the capsule door opened. Strangely, it happened before Jeff Bezos' ground crew officially arrived to open it. Now, technically speaking, New Shepard's capsule can be opened from the inside, but only in emergencies. In this case, there was no sign of danger. Which means whoever opened that hatch jumped the gun and violated a pretty serious safety protocol. Think of it like someone popping open an airplane exit while still on the tarmac. Not okay. So, who's at the center of all this drama? Yes, you guessed it. Katy Perry. The pop icon, who made headlines for self-proclaimed astronaut, is now making headlines for the wrong reasons. But here's the plot twist. She's not facing consequences for the door incident directly. Nope. The real problem? She may have accidentally spilled the truth about what really went down during the flight, something Blue Origin definitely didn't want going public. So, what did she reveal? What's the fallout from this breach of protocol? And why did she do that? Stay tuned, because this story just keeps getting stranger. By opening the hatch from the inside, Katy Perry didn't just break protocol. She allegedly exposed something much bigger. According to growing online speculation, her unscripted move accidentally revealed that the NS-31 flight may have never actually left Earth. Rumors have exploded that the entire mission was staged, filmed on a soundstage with pre-recorded visuals piped into the live broadcast. And once that idea hit the internet, it was a full-blown domino effect. People started picking apart the footage frame by frame. No re-entry burn marks on the capsule. No visible landing gear imprints in the desert dust. And the background audio? Some say it sounded more like a film set than a landing. While there are technical explanations for all of this, once doubt creeps in, it spreads fast. The mission, advertised as a triumph of commercial space travel, quickly became a media circus, damaging Blue Origin's credibility, spooking investors, and turning public excitement into full-on skepticism. And Jeff Bezos? He's furious. In a bold and aggressive move, Bezos is now suing Katy Perry for $50 million, accusing her of derailing what was meant to be a historic moment. According to his legal team, Perry violated strict instructions and internal protocol. She opened the hatch early, before Bezos could make his choreographed grand entrance. The result? What was supposed to be a powerful PR moment turned into what Bezos' team is calling a disastrous mistake and an embarrassing media meltdown. So now the question is, was Katy being careless? According to some insiders close to Katy Perry, she was never explicitly told that opening the hatch was off-limits. In fact, she believed it was just part of the standard landing procedure. Something she had practiced, or at least wasn't warned against. Sounds simple, right? But here's the catch. All Blue Origin passengers are known to go through extensive pre-flight training. And it's hard to believe that something as critical as "do not open the hatch without permission" was skipped. So, either there was a major training oversight or there's more going on than we're being told. Naturally, conspiracy theories have started to swirl. Some suggest this wasn't a mistake at all, but another calculated PR move by Jeff Bezos himself. Because Bezos has a long history of headline-grabbing stunts. And let's be honest, suing a global pop icon for $50 million? It's the kind of spectacle that puts your name right back in the spotlight. Convenient, especially when your company's public image is on fire. It's no coincidence that Elon Musk once quipped the phrase, "Sue Origin," a not-so-subtle jab at Jeff Bezos' space company. Why? Instead of focusing on actual innovation and the spirit of exploration, Blue Origin has built a reputation for legal battles and PR theatrics. Let's rewind to April 2021. NASA awarded SpaceX a $2.9 billion contract to build the human landing system for the Artemis moon program. A huge win. But Blue Origin? They weren't having it. They filed a lawsuit, challenging NASA's decision and claiming the evaluation process was flawed. That lawsuit delayed the Artemis program by several months, a move that not only slowed down NASA's timeline, but also painted Blue Origin as the sore loser of spaceflight. The case was eventually thrown out in November 2021. No appeal, no win, just time lost. But they didn't stop there. In June 2024, Blue Origin filed a public complaint with the FAA, urging the agency to limit SpaceX's Starship launches from Kennedy Space Center. Their argument? Environmental and safety concerns. But to many, including Elon Musk, it just looked like another legal stunt aimed at slowing down SpaceX's incredible momentum. Musk responded the only way he knows how, with public mockery. Once again, Blue Origin started trending. And here's the irony. While SpaceX keeps launching rockets, landing boosters, and sending humans into orbit, Blue Origin seems to spend more time filing lawsuits than flying missions. This brings us back to the NS-31 mission and the media circus surrounding Katy Perry. Is this just another chapter in Blue Origin's long playbook of distractions? A way to stay in the headlines without actually reaching orbit? At this point, it's hard to tell where the ambition ends and the theater begins. Could it be that the lawsuit, the controversy, even the mission itself, were all part of a grander media play? Or is this truly a catastrophic slip-up that cost Blue Origin its credibility? Either way, the truth is still floating somewhere out there. And for now, Katy Perry might be the only person who really knows what happened inside that capsule. What do you think? Was this a genuine spaceflight gone wrong, or the biggest PR stunt in commercial space history? Let me know your take in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next breakdown in this space race saga. In the aftermath of the NS-31 mission, Katy Perry finally broke her silence. She described herself as feeling battered and bruised, not from the flight itself, but from the intense wave of public criticism that followed. The I Kissed a Girl singer was joined on the flight by Jeff Bezos' fiancée, Lauren Sanchez, and CBS anchor Gayle King. While the ride may have only lasted a few minutes in suborbital space, the price tag for civilian passengers reportedly soared as high as $28 million per seat, a number that didn't sit well with the public, especially amid a global economic crunch. To make matters worse, the mission came just after Perry's latest album, Woman's World, received lukewarm reviews. The lead single was slammed for its allegedly regressive take on feminism, leaving critics to accuse her of trying to rebrand through spectacle. Online backlash was swift and ruthless, but Perry responded with rare vulnerability. She thanked her fans, admitted the experience left her emotionally shaken, and called the mission part of her larger human journey. In her words, "Sometimes I fall, but I get back up and keep playing the game." She acknowledged the online negativity, saying she understood that people often use the internet to release their frustrations, and she tries to meet that hate with grace. Interestingly, Perry also expressed regret, not for going to space, but for making such a public spectacle out of it. Yes, she called the experience life-changing. But now she questions moments like holding a daisy, a tribute to her daughter, up to the camera, singing in microgravity, and kissing the ground after landing. What was meant to be personal and profound quickly became meme fodder and internet outrage. In the end, Katy Perry's spaceflight was more than just a ride. It was a collision of fame, wealth, criticism, and vulnerability. A journey that left her floating in zero gravity, but crashing back to a very judgmental Earth. The controversy surrounding Katy Perry and Blue Origin's NS-31 mission sheds light on much more than just a single spaceflight. It opens a window into the evolving world of commercial space tourism, revealing both its promises and its pitfalls. The NS-31 mission was billed as a groundbreaking all-female flight, a supposed milestone in private space travel. But its brief duration, just 11 minutes, and the heavy inclusion of celebrities made it feel less like a pioneering mission and more like a carefully choreographed media event. Perry's gravity-defying antics created viral moments. But instead of inspiring awe, they sparked ridicule, reducing a spaceflight into what many saw as an Instagrammable stunt. It raised a pressing question. Is commercial spaceflight pushing exploration forward, or just staging spectacles for attention? The price tag, reportedly up to $28 million per seat, didn't help. At a time when many are struggling with inflation and inequality, critics saw the mission as a tone-deaf display of excess. The backlash wasn't just about Perry. It was about the ethics of billionaire-led space ventures, the environmental cost of frequent launches, and the growing divide between those who view space as a human frontier and those who see it as a billionaire's playground. Framed as a triumph for women in space, the mission aimed for inspiration. But for some, it fell flat. Critics argued that symbolic participation doesn't replace structural progress. No women engineers, no female astronauts piloting the mission, just passengers in seats. The feminist messaging, they said, felt more like branding than genuine advancement. It's a cautionary tale. Representation without substance can ring hollow, especially when paired with luxury pricing and media theatrics. Katy Perry's involvement ensured headlines, but also brought intense scrutiny. In many ways, her flight echoed the reality TV-ification of space, where fame takes center stage and substance risks getting lost. While celebrities can help make space cool again, their presence also polarizes public perception. Space becomes less about science and innovation, and more about branding and personal image. What's most revealing is Perry's own reaction. In the aftermath, she admitted feeling battered and bruised by the public's response. She expressed regret, not about going to space, but about turning it into a public spectacle. Her experience highlights a new challenge in this age of space tourism. Even a short trip can be deeply transformative, but also emotionally fraught, especially when lived out under the spotlight of global judgment. In conclusion, the NS-31 mission was more than a ride into space. It was a mirror reflecting the cultural, ethical, and emotional tensions that come with taking humanity's oldest dream and turning it into a branded billion-dollar business. In this new space race, the question isn't just who will reach orbit, it's why they go and what we all take away from the journey. Lawsuits and legal battles, what some call lawfare, can be a massive headache for any company, eating up valuable time and resources. A perfect example? Just look back at the last couple of years, when our still-developing SpaceX Starship program faced constant hurdles. It wasn't just about pushing technological boundaries. We were also hit with strict FAA regulations and a non-stop wave of lawsuits from environmental groups and even SpaceX competitors. But here's the flip side. For some, lawfare has become a go-to strategy to take down opponents. The first time you try it, it feels unfamiliar. By the second time, when you see it starts to bother your rival, you begin to like it. By the third time, it becomes a habit. Fourth and fifth? At that point, you're hooked. You become obsessed with terms like lawsuit, sue, or lawfare. Before you know it, you're acting on legal impulse without even realizing it, like a sleepwalker. Case in point, when your passenger opens the spacecraft door a bit too soon after landing, instead of just issuing a fine, you drag them into court demanding $50 million in damages. That's exactly what happened after Blue Origin's NS-31 mission on April 14th. Katy Perry is said to have opened the capsule hatch after landing, before the ground crew gave the go-ahead, and it all played out live on TV in front of millions. Jeff Bezos responded by suing her, claiming she broke flight protocol and disrupted the mission briefing. Now, sure, opening a hatch prematurely is a serious issue. But suing someone, especially a global celebrity like Katy Perry, turns a safety concern into a media circus. Most companies would have handled that behind closed doors, or through the proper regulatory channels, not in civil court. It seems Jeff isn't out to smear his passengers. He's aiming to draw attention to his rocket company, and he's doing it in a bold, headline-grabbing way. When Bezos considered suing Katy Perry, part of the motivation may have been to safeguard Blue Origin's image. He wanted to signal to the public that the company treats safety with the utmost seriousness and is a legitimate player in the aerospace industry. He's clearly concerned that even minor breaches in protocol could tarnish the brand. At the same time, Bezos is positioning Blue Origin not as a playground for billionaires, but as a serious contender in the space race. That narrative shift could help sway public opinion, especially as criticism mounts over Blue Origin falling behind SpaceX. Looking closely at the lawsuit, you'll notice it's loaded with viral bait, $50 million in compensation, and the defendant is none other than global superstar Katy Perry. It's practically engineered to dominate news cycles and flood social media. By doing this, Bezos could be trying to redirect focus away from the company's internal setbacks, project delays, or recent public scrutiny. With Perry already facing criticism for taking a joyride to space, Bezos may be using the surrounding controversy to stir up media drama and put Blue Origin back in the spotlight. Additionally, it could somehow reflect Jeff Bezos' power play and ego. The sue behavior could be a power assertion, reminding everyone, including celebrities, that he controls the domain of commercial spaceflight. If Perry broke protocol, suing her would also signal to future passengers, this isn't a joke, obey or face consequences. At least Katy Perry got off easy. She was just a passenger on Blue Origin's flight. Now imagine if she were actually running a company that was directly competing with Bezos' rocket venture. That would have been a whole different level of drama. The truth is, Jeff Bezos has a well-documented history of using legal and regulatory strategies to try to slow down SpaceX, BO's arch-rival. One of the biggest flashpoints came in 2021, when NASA awarded a $2.9 billion human landing system contract solely to SpaceX. Blue Origin wasn't happy. They accused NASA of favoritism and raised safety concerns, so they took it to court. But the U.S. Court of Federal Claims sided with NASA and SpaceX, bringing the lawsuit to an end and giving SpaceX the green light to build the new lunar lander. Bottom line, when American astronauts return to the moon, odds are they'll be riding in a Musk-built spacecraft. Another major win for SpaceX, which has already become a central partner for NASA in ferrying astronauts and cargo to the ISS. While SpaceX didn't issue an official statement, Elon Musk couldn't resist. He posted a meme from Judge Dredd, a dystopian science fiction comic book and film, saying, "You have been judged." Beyond that case, Blue Origin also tried to get the FAA to cap the number of SpaceX Starship launches from Kennedy Space Center, citing environmental and safety concerns. Musk clapped back with a tongue-in-cheek tweet, "Sue Origin." Additionally, in 2013, Blue Origin tried to block NASA from leasing Launchpad 39A exclusively to SpaceX. They wanted it to be a multi-user facility for different companies, including themselves. But they lost that battle too. Why? SpaceX, once the underdog, had become the rising star of commercial space flight with a proven track record. Blue Origin, on the other hand, had more influence in Congress than in space. Musk called that move a phony blocking tactic and suggested it was done in coordination with United Launch Alliance, another SpaceX rival. He even said, if they do somehow show up in the next 5 years with a vehicle qualified to NASA's human rating standards that can dock with the space station, which is what Pad 39A is meant to do, we will gladly accommodate their needs. Frankly, I think we are more likely to discover unicorns dancing in the flame duct. Then there was the patent saga. In 2014, Blue Origin secured a patent for landing rockets vertically on sea platforms. But SpaceX challenged it, saying it wasn't a new idea. They cited earlier research and even a 1959 Soviet sci-fi film as prior art. The U.S. Patent Trial and Appeal Board agreed and invalidated most of Blue Origin's claims in 2015. That cleared the path for SpaceX to continue its groundbreaking rocket recovery efforts without any legal roadblocks. Bezos' frequent resort to legal tactics led Musk to fire back again and again. One of his most memorable lines? "You can't sue your way to the moon." Instead, Musk urged Bezos to spend less time in courtrooms and more time building rockets that can actually reach orbit. So why does Jeff Bezos and Blue Origin seem to rely so heavily on lawsuits and regulatory roadblocks to try and slow down SpaceX? The answer is simple. They're trailing far behind. In terms of technology, launch frequency, and market dominance, Blue Origin is years behind SpaceX. Legal action has become more of a strategic lever to stall progress than a genuine push for fairness. But here's the catch. Despite the legal tactics, Blue Origin is still crawling while SpaceX keeps sprinting. Let's break it down. Blue Origin's new Shepard has completed 31 suborbital flights in total. Of those, only 11 carried humans, with a total of 58 people launched, some more than once. Now compare that to SpaceX. Over the last 2 decades, Elon Musk's company has racked up nearly 500 successful Falcon 9 launches. And in 2023 alone, SpaceX's launch count surpassed everything Blue Origin has done in its entire history. The one and only orbital attempt Blue Origin has managed, New Glenn's debut, ended in failure when the booster didn't survive descent. That's rough. After years of missteps and stagnation, Bezos finally made a major move. In December 2023, he brought in Dave Limp, the former head of Amazon Devices, to replace longtime CEO Bob Smith. This wasn't just a name change, it was a mission reset. Under Limp, Blue Origin is trying to shake off its reputation for delay and move faster. First, kicking off orbital launches. After endless delays, New Glenn finally made it off the ground on January 16th. The rocket is designed to compete directly with SpaceX's Falcon 9 and support missions like NASA's Mars Escapade. It's a major step forward. Second, pushing the moon mission. Limp is driving progress on Blue Moon, the company's lunar lander, which is part of NASA's Artemis program to return humans to the moon. This project could be Blue Origin's biggest chance at relevance. Third, speed over caution. Jeff Bezos himself has said Limp brings urgency, something that was missing under Bob Smith, whose tenure was marked by a slow, overly careful pace. Fourth, applying consumer tech know-how. Limp's background in building and scaling tech at Amazon means he's laser-focused on execution, shorter development cycles, and delivering results. That's exactly the kind of energy Blue Origin needs right now. But this leadership shift hasn't just changed strategy, it's shaken up the culture too. Morale, which had sagged under Bob Smith's slow-moving leadership, has begun to lift. Employees see Limp as someone who empowers teams, sets clear priorities, and brings momentum. There's renewed hope that Blue Origin can become leaner, faster, and more competitive. Still, not everything is smooth sailing. Under Smith, the company overhired and grew bloated without clear timelines. Now, Limp's trying to course correct, leading to painful layoffs. Around 10% of the workforce has been cut to streamline operations. While necessary, the move has created anxiety and a sense of instability inside the company. Some insiders describe the current culture as tense, with fear and poor communication surrounding staffing decisions. So while Blue Origin might finally be turning a corner, it's doing so under pressure, with a long way to go before it can even begin to catch up to SpaceX. Will the new leadership be enough to close the gap? That's the billion-dollar question. On April 14th, as the company announced, Blue Origin's New Shepard launch lifted off on a flight carrying the first all-female spaceflight crew since the first woman to launch into orbit in 1963. The NS-31 mission was Blue Origin's 31st New Shepard launch and 11th crewed flight to space, and others on a short suborbital trip. At 1:03 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Thursday, May 29th, SpaceX's Crew Dragon spacecraft is set to reach a new historic milestone in human spaceflight with the launch of Axiom Mission 4, the fourth private astronaut mission to the International Space Station. Operated by Axiom Space, in collaboration with SpaceX and NASA, Axiom 4 will carry a diverse four-person crew to the ISS, representing 4 nations. Commander Peggy Whitson, Axiom Space and former NASA astronaut, pilot Shubhanshu Shukla from India, and mission specialists Sławosz Uznański-Wiśniewski from Poland, an ESA project astronaut, and Tibor Kapu from Hungary. This marks the first time astronauts from India, Poland, and Hungary will travel to the ISS. Notably, Uznański will become the first Polish astronaut to fly to space in over 40 years. The crew is a mix of National Space Agency representatives, including ISRO, PULSA, the Hungarian Space Office, and ESA, highlighting a shift toward government-sponsored astronauts over private individuals. The mission will lift off aboard a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, with Crew Dragon launching from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. On board, the astronauts will carry nearly 60 scientific investigations from 31 countries, an all-time record for an Axiom mission. Axiom 4 will stay docked at the ISS for about 2 weeks, as the crew carries out their extensive roster of experiments and technology demonstrations. This is the second government-sponsored human spaceflight for India, Poland, and Hungary in over 4 decades, following Rakesh Sharma's 1984 mission for India, Mirosław Hermaszewski's 1978 flight for Poland, and Bertalan Farkas's 1980 trip for Hungary. For all 3 countries, this mission marks their first participation aboard the ISS and represents a symbolic return to human spaceflight. Axiom 4 also embodies a broader goal of democratizing access to space by enabling countries with smaller or less established space programs to contribute to human spaceflight. This mission isn't just about people, it's about science too. With roughly 60 research projects, it sets a new high for the number of investigations on an Axiom mission and brings together the most internationally diverse scientific collaboration yet. Experiments include the Cancer in Low Earth Orbit (LEO-3) study, which tests a new FDA-approved drug, rebexinib, on tumor organoids to explore cancer treatment in microgravity. Other studies will examine how microgravity affects the human brain, the aging of stem cells, and how AI can process space-based data more effectively. These scientific efforts involve not only professional astronauts but also researchers and private contributors, reflecting a growing trend toward the commercial and inclusive future of space. Beyond science, Axiom 4 also makes a cultural impact with educational initiatives like the Saudi Space Agency's Microgravity Challenge. This includes student-led experiments and artwork from the Matic competition, designed to inspire young minds across the Arab world. By blending science, culture, and human exploration, Axiom Mission 4 is more than just a spaceflight. It's a powerful symbol of how space is becoming more accessible, collaborative, and inclusive than ever before. Playing a key role in the success and deeper meaning of Axiom 4, SpaceX's Crew Dragon spacecraft cannot be ignored. While this marks the 4th time a Crew Dragon vehicle has supported an Axiom mission, Axiom 4 introduces a new chapter with the debut flight of Crew Dragon C213. This capsule is the 5th, and possibly final, Crew Dragon built by SpaceX. Originally designated for the Crew 10 mission, C213 was replaced by Crew Dragon Endurance due to delays in testing and integration. Choosing to fly a brand new spacecraft on such a high-stakes mission underscores Axiom Space's confidence in Dragon's reliability, reusability, and versatility. It's not a sentimental decision. It's the result of years of careful observation, hands-on experience, and performance data. Developed by SpaceX under NASA's Commercial Crew Program, Crew Dragon remains NASA's primary vehicle for ISS crew transportation and resupply missions. And it's packed with features that make it ideally suited for these roles. First, its autonomous docking capability allows it to connect with the ISS seamlessly via the International Docking System Standard IDSS port. No manual piloting required. As a crewed spacecraft, Crew Dragon includes a pressurized cabin, life support systems, and safety measures like custom-fitted spacesuits and Super Draco engines for emergency launch escape. Importantly, SpaceX is also advancing extravehicular activity (EVA) capabilities with a new generation spacesuit. This suit was put to the test during the Polaris Dawn mission in September 2024, performing successfully at the highest Earth orbit altitude ever achieved. That performance paves the way for more ambitious missions beyond low Earth orbit. One of Dragon's standout features is its cost-effectiveness, a key goal of NASA's commercial partnerships. According to NASA's Office of Inspector General, a seat on a Crew Dragon flight costs about $55 million, considerably less than the $90 million price tag for a seat on Russia's Soyuz or Boeing's Starliner. For private missions, such as the Inspiration 4 flight, estimates suggest a total cost of under $200 million, roughly $50 million per seat. This affordability is largely thanks to reusability. Initially certified for 5 missions, NASA and SpaceX are now working to extend that certification to up to 15 flights per capsule. And Crew Dragon isn't just for people. It's designed to carry cargo too, with a pallet beneath the crew seats and a trunk capable of transporting external payloads. This makes it a versatile workhorse for both human spaceflight and science logistics. With all these features, it's easy to see why Crew Dragon continues to earn its place at the forefront of commercial space exploration, and why its role in Axiom 4 is more than just functional, but foundational. At this point, have you ever wondered how NASA, SpaceX, and Axiom Space can be confident that the brand new C-213 spacecraft will perform well in the upcoming mission? The truth is, C-213 isn't entirely brand new in the conventional sense. It's the result of years of real-world performance data from earlier Axiom missions using previous Crew Dragon vehicles. Let's rewind to Axiom Mission 1, which launched on April 8, 2022, from Kennedy Space Center's Launch Complex, 39A. The crew flew aboard the Crew Dragon Endeavour, a spacecraft that had already proven itself during NASA's Demo 2 and Crew 2 missions. The spacecraft successfully docked with the ISS via the Harmony module's forward port. Although originally slated for an 8-day stay, the mission extended to 17 days due to weather delays. During that time, Crew Dragon provided essential life support, including oxygen, temperature regulation, and waste management, all while ensuring comfort and safety. After undocking on April 25th, Endeavour safely returned to Earth with a splashdown in the Atlantic Ocean. The spacecraft's parachute system, 2 drogue and 4 main chutes, demonstrated one of Crew Dragon's key design elements: safe re-entry and landing. Next came Axiom Mission 2, launched on May 21, 2023, aboard Crew Dragon Freedom. Another 4-person crew traveled to the ISS, this time aboard a Falcon 9 Block 5 rocket. Freedom docked at the space-facing port of the ISS's Harmony module and supported a 9-day mission. The spacecraft featured integrated life support systems and protective Nomex-based suits to guard against potential cabin depressurization. On May 30, 2023, Freedom undocked and re-entered Earth's atmosphere, splashing down safely near Panama City, Florida. Axiom Mission 3 took off on January 18, 2024, again using Crew Dragon spacecraft Freedom. The launch employed Falcon 9 booster B1080, which had previously been used for Axiom 2. Among the crew was Marcus Want, the first ESA astronaut launched by a private provider. Axiom 3 concluded on February 9, 2024, with another successful splashdown. The spacecraft's reusable capsule design and robust thermal protection systems proved once again that Crew Dragon is built for repeat, reliable missions. The trunk, housing solar panels and heat radiators, kept power and temperature in check throughout the journey. Across Axiom 1, 2, and 3, Crew Dragon has carried a total of 12 private astronauts to the ISS, showing it can handle diverse crews, including space tourists and professionals. Its integrated emergency escape system with 8 Super Draco engines remains a cornerstone of launch safety, and the reusable capsule, which houses critical systems internally rather than in a throwaway service module, keeps both cost and complexity down. Beyond crew transport, Crew Dragon's ability to haul cargo and function as a mobile science platform has made it essential to Axiom's mission objectives. The cargo pallet and docking capabilities enable more than just safe transit. They support the mission's scientific and commercial ambitions. By enabling these early private missions, Crew Dragon is helping Axiom Space align with NASA's broader vision, building a thriving low-Earth orbit economy. It's not just a ride to space, it's a platform powering the future of commercial spaceflight. Talking about Axiom 4, Axiom Space Chief Scientist Lucy Lowe shared, "We are opening the door to countries where, previously, access to space has been through the ISS partners. But we're opening the door to new countries, institutions, and individuals that can bring new ideas that can really fuel an economy beyond Earth." As Axiom continues gaining on-orbit experience, the company gains confidence in its longer-term goal of constructing and operating a space station in low Earth orbit. "These private astronaut missions actually make us ready ourselves for Axiom Station," Lowe said. "Our private astronaut missions are designed to flesh out and test procedures, communications, coordination, training, and so much more, so that when Axiom Station is ready to become independent from the ISS, the private astronauts, the ground teams, the crews, and the platform that they support will be fully functional and ready to hit the ground running." Number 1. The capsule door mystery. As I said in the previous video, some doubt that the flight was fake because the new Shepard capsule door moved slightly before Jeff Bezos opened it with a tool. But in this video, we will discover one more proof. The door looks too flimsy for space, compared to thick, heavy hatch doors on orbital spacecraft. Obviously, if I were to go into space on a spaceship with a poorly designed or unreliable door, my mind would immediately jump to the worst-case scenario like facing a painful death due to cabin depressurization in near-vacuum conditions. Fortunately, New Shepard missions are licensed by the FAA, meaning the vehicle is theoretically safe enough for its suborbital flights. New Shepard's door can be opened from both the inside and outside. It's part of a strict safety protocol. If the capsule were to land in a remote area, astronauts need to be able to get out within 60 seconds. That means the door needs to be lightweight, easy to use, and accessible from either side. Also, New Shepard only reaches suborbital altitudes, so the pressure differences aren't nearly as intense as in deep space. And how about that slight movement in the clip? Most likely, a crew member was testing the door or shifting around inside after landing. Lightweight doors aren't evidence of a fake. They're a safety standard. Number 2. The mannequin hand. There is a creepy mannequin-looking hand was spotted inside the capsule. Was the crew fake? Actually, that clip wasn't even from this flight. It came from a 2017 test mission featuring a dummy called Mannequinning Skywalker. That's the hand people saw. Totally unrelated to Katy Perry's flight. Number 3. The footage looked too good. You know, the one where people say the footage is suspiciously flawless, like a staged entertainment show rather than an actual space mission. Even the cast in that show also looked neat all the time. Their hair is floating so perfectly it's less zero gravity and more zero bad hair days. The complete opposite of Suni Williams' spiky hair on the ISS. You can even link to a shampoo commercial for hair extensions. Because obviously, when you blast off to space, your first priority is fabulous hair, not, actual space stuff. On the other hand, people who defend the mission argue that the entire mission was broadcast live and verified by experts in real time. You can't fake that in front of millions. High-definition footage from multiple camera angles is normal now, and just because it looks smooth doesn't mean it's fake. Do you think we should give them the benefit of the doubt on this? Number 4. The crew was swapped. The capsule launched empty, and the celebrities were just posing for cameras afterward. Well, in my opinion, this conspiracy theory is unconvincing because Blue Origin has conducted 11 human spaceflights so far. So there's no evidence that they can't do so again. Additionally, the crew was visible in multiple stages of the mission, during pre-launch, inside the capsule, in flight, and post-landing. Plus, they all had to go through real astronaut training before being cleared for the flight. This wasn't a photo shoot. Number 5. Why the crew wore yoga pants? Sort of. Someone wondered why the flight suits looked way too casual. Real astronauts wear bulky pressure suits, right? Oh man, I don't think it should be on this list, but somehow I feel I have to explain it to those living under a rock. To put it simply, for a suborbital flight in a fully pressurized capsule, there's no need for those heavy-duty suits. The blue jumpsuits are totally normal, and actually pretty practical. The flight only lasts 11 minutes, there's no spacewalk, and the crew isn't exposed to vacuum. These suits are closer to race car gear. Fire-resistant, flexible, and designed for short-duration missions. Even X-15 pilots and Virgin Galactic passengers wore lightweight suits. So did Jeff Bezos in his 2021 flight. Bulky EVA suits. Not necessary here. Number 6. No burn mark. The claim here is that the capsule looks way too clean after landing. Where are the scorch marks like we see on SpaceX capsules? To answer, New Shepard is not an orbital vehicle. It doesn't re-enter the atmosphere at thousands of miles per hour, like SpaceX's Dragon capsule, which hits speeds around 17,000 miles per hour and faces temperatures of up to 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. New Shepard tops out at about 2,500 miles per hour, and parachutes handle most of the descent. The capsule only faces mild atmospheric friction. It has a thin heat shield and a reflective coating to handle that. So no burn marks are expected, and definitely not a sign of fakery. NASA's old X-15 aircraft and Virgin Galactic's flights also came back looking clean. Number 7. Hidden satanic symbols on the mission logo. Some conspiracy theorists even scrutinized the NS-31 mission patch worn by all 6 women, claiming it contained hidden satanic symbols. When flipped upside down, they argued, the design resembled a satanic goat with an upside-down cross, imagery often linked to occult rituals. This theory gained more traction because of Katy Perry's public association with occult symbolism in her music and performances. For example, her E.T. music video, where she appears with goat legs. However, in reality, the mission patch simply features symbols representing each crew member's background, like a microphone for Gayle King and the scales of justice for Amanda Nguyen. It can be said that the explosion of those theories played a major role in making Blue Origin's NS-31 mission more viral than ever, albeit in a less positive way. I believe everything is in the anticipation of the BO's marketing team. Several factors played into the explosion of conspiracy theories surrounding the Blue Origin flight. For starters, the presence of celebrities like Katy Perry, Gayle King, and Lauren Sanchez made the event look more like a publicity stunt than a scientific achievement, leading many to question its authenticity. Thanks to Hollywood, the public tends to expect something a lot more dramatic and action-packed. This gap between expectation and reality left a lot of room for doubt. On top of that, there's a widespread misunderstanding of the technical details behind suborbital travel. People wondered why there were no scorch marks on the capsule, or why the passengers weren't wearing bulky spacesuits. Viral clips taken out of context didn't help either. One popular video showed the capsule door moving slightly before Jeff Bezos officially opened it, sparking immediate suspicion online. Then there's the nature of conspiracy theories themselves. They're addictive, dramatic, and extremely shareable. They give people a rush, a feeling that they're uncovering hidden secrets. It's also important to remember that communities that already believe space travel is fake, like moon landing deniers, seized on this flight as yet another piece of so-called evidence for their claims. Add in the fact that society has a long-standing fascination with the secret lives of the ultra-wealthy, and it's easy to see how rumors spiraled. The delay in releasing real-time footage from the capsule also added fuel to the fire. People speculated wildly in the information vacuum. Plus, there was an early theory that a mannequin's hand, specifically Mannequin Skywalker from a 2017 test flight, was seen instead of Katy Perry's, even though that idea was quickly debunked. Once a seed of doubt is planted, though, it's hard to completely uproot. Finally, social media platforms like TikTok made it incredibly easy for these conspiracy theories to spread. Short, compelling videos claiming irrefutable evidence circulated widely and rapidly, reaching millions before any fact checks could catch up. All of these factors combined to create a perfect storm, fueling the continued widespread discussion and suspicion surrounding the Blue Origin spaceflight. New Shepard's 11th human flight, NS-31, launched on April with Aisha Bowe, Amanda Nguyen, Gayle King, Katy Perry, Carrie-Anne Flynn, and Lawrence Sanchez. Aisha Bowe is a former NASA rocket scientist, entrepreneur, and global STEM advocate. She is the CEO of STEMBOARD, an engineering firm twice named to the Inc. 5000 list, and founder of Lingo, an edtech company aiming to equip 1 million students with essential tech skills. Her path, from community college to space, reflects a deep commitment to expanding access to STEM education and empowering future generations to dream big. Amanda Nguyen is a bioastronautics research scientist. She graduated from Harvard and conducted research at Harvard Center for Astrophysics, MIT NASA, and the International Institute for Astronautical Sciences. Amanda worked on the last NASA shuttle mission, STS-135, and the Kepler exoplanet mission. For her advocacy for sexual violence survivors, she was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize and awarded Time's Woman of the Year. As the first Vietnamese and Southeast Asian woman astronaut, Amanda's flight is a symbol of reconciliation between the United States and Vietnam and highlights science as a tool for peace. Gayle King is an award-winning journalist, co-host of CBS Mornings, editor-at-large of Oprah Daily, and the host of Gayle King in the House on Sirius XM Radio. In a career spanning decades, King has been recognized as a gifted, compassionate interviewer able to break through the noise and create meaningful conversations. Katy Perry is the biggest-selling female artist in Capitol Records history, and one of the best-selling music artists of all time, with over 115 billion streams. Aside from being a global pop superstar, Katy is an active advocate of many philanthropic causes, including as a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, where she uses her powerful voice to ensure every child's right to health, education, equality, and protection, and her own Firework Foundation, which empowers children from underserved communities by igniting their inner light through the arts. After a successful career in fashion and human resources, Carrie-Anne Flynn has spent the last decade channeling her energy into community building through board service and nonprofit work with the Allen Stevenson School, the High Line, and Hudson River Park. Passionate about the transformative power of storytelling, Carrie-Anne has produced thought-provoking films such as This Changes Everything, 2018, which explores the history of women in Hollywood, and Lily, 2024. a powerful tribute to fair pay advocate Lily Ledbetter. Lauren Sanchez is an Emmy Award-winning journalist, New York Times best-selling author, pilot, vice chair of the Bezos Earth Fund, and mother of 3. Sanchez released her New York Times best-selling debut children's book, The Fly Who Flew to Space, in 2024. Her work in aviation earned her the Elling Halverson Vertical Flight Hall of Fame Award in 2024 for her expertise as a helicopter pilot and aviation businesswoman. Here is a quick summary for some of you who might not be familiar with the term Artemis. The Artemis program is a moon exploration program led by the United States National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. The program aims to establish a sustainable presence there and pave the way for future human exploration of Mars. The Artemis program is organized around a series of SLS missions, with an increase in complexity. The Artemis 1 and 2 missions are the first uncrewed and crewed demonstration missions of the Space Launch System Launch Vehicle, Orion Crew Vehicle, and associated ground systems, known as Exploration Ground Systems. Artemis the Fire successfully launched on November 16, 2022, with the Orion capsule safely returning to Earth on December 11, 2022. During preliminary reviews in 2011, the launch date of the Artemis II was placed somewhere between 2019 and 2021, but afterward, the launch date was delayed to 2023. As of September 2024, the mission is expected to launch no earlier than September 2025. The next step, Artemis III, is planned to be the second crewed Artemis mission and the first American crewed lunar landing since Apollo 17 in December 1972. The astronauts will conduct extensive scientific research on the moon's surface, focusing on the geology and mineralogy of the lunar South Pole. It is expected to launch in September 2026, but the mission is not likely to occur before 2027. So according to the announced plan, we will return to the moon by 2027 at the latest, right? It might be harder than we expected. The simplified plan for landing NASA astronauts on the moon for Artemis III would go like this. A fuel depot would be launched into low Earth orbit LEO. Multiple tankers will then rendezvous with the depot to fill it with fuel. Once the depot has enough fuel, an uncrewed HLS Starship will launch into LEO and dock with the depot. The depot transfers fuel to the Starship. The Starship will then move to a near rectilinear halo orbit, or NRHO, where it will stay for up to 90 days to ensure everything is working properly and to wait for the crew's arrival. Then the Orion spacecraft with the crew will launch and dock with the HLS Starship in the NRHO. From Orion, 2 astronauts will transfer to the HLS Starship, which will then descend to the lunar surface for a 6.5-day mission. After completing surface activities including moonwalks, the HLS Starship will ascend back to near rectilinear halo orbit, and the astronauts will return to Orion for their journey back to Earth. Yes, it did sound complicated, but not incomprehensible. From the plan, we can see that some key components are involved in supporting Artemis III's mission. To land foot on the moon, our astronauts need a spacesuit that can withstand the moon's environment. The current spacesuits, known as the EMU, Extravehicular Mobility Unit, have been in use since the 1980s. While they've been modified and improved over time, the core design is still based on decades-old technology. The EMU was originally developed for the Space Shuttle program, and its components are reaching the end of their operational life. The upcoming Artemis III mission will require astronauts to work on the lunar surface for extended periods. The EMU was designed for relatively short-duration spacewalks in low Earth orbit, not for the harsh and long-term conditions of the Moon or Mars. New suits are needed to withstand the different environments, including lower gravity, extreme temperatures, and lunar dust, which pose unique challenges. Therefore, in 2021, NASA awarded Axiom Space a $228.5 million task order to develop a new spacesuit. Axiom Space has made several innovations to improve comfort, functionality, and safety for astronauts during spacewalks. Some standout features of the new suit include allowing for customization to fit individual astronaut needs. It features interchangeable parts such as the helmet, gloves, and life support systems. This flexibility makes it easier to repair and update the suit for various missions. Another major improvement is the increased range of motion. The suit is designed to allow astronauts greater freedom of movement, reducing the fatigue that can come with the bulky and rigid designs of older suits. The arms and legs feature advanced joint technologies to allow for more fluid and natural motion during spacewalks. Despite the great strides Axiom has made in developing the new EVA suit, it still needs to undergo further testing and won't be ready until at least 2025. Then is the vehicle to get there. The Orion spacecraft is the ship that our 4 brave astronauts will be riding on this mission. It has proven its mission capability through the Artemis we see. However, the Orion crew capsule's heat shield experienced several issues during the Artemis 1 mission. Even though the capsule was protected, over 100 instances of ablative thermal protective material chipping away unexpectedly were identified, creating potential risks for the crew and the spacecraft. Post-recovery inspections detected unexpected variations in the appearance of the heat shield's AVCoat ablative material. Portions of the char layer wore away differently than predicted, cracking and breaking off in fragments rather than melting away as intended. NASA recently determined what caused the additional char loss, but declined to disclose. Orion is currently undergoing continuous testing to prepare for its next mission. And I sincerely hope that when Artemis 3 takes place, there will be no more technical issues that will ensure our astronauts return safely from the moon. Before loading the ship onto the rocket for launch, we need the launch tower prepared. The good news is we already have one. The super expensive mobile launcher we used on Artemis I will be used on Artemis 2 and 3. The bad news is that we'll need another launcher, which will be even more expensive and will delay the date of future missions even further. Next is the rocket that Orion will be stacked onto. The Space Launch System, or SLS, plays a crucial role in NASA's Artemis program, which aims to return humans to the moon and eventually send astronauts to Mars. SLS is critical for launching the Orion spacecraft and other infrastructure essential for Artemis missions. Same with the Orion spacecraft. In the Artemis Y mission, the launch was smooth, and the vehicle's performance during the initial phase of flight met expectations. So clearly, the Space Launch System would be capable of fulfilling its role in the moon landing mission. However, the cost of SLS is still being criticized. Here is the reason. The similarity between the SLS and the launch vehicle that they used to put Neil Armstrong on the moon is that they are both the most powerful rockets of their time, and they both cost a lot of money. The difference is that due to the limited technology at the time, people of the Apollo mission could only land a small lander with the capacity to keep a few astronauts alive for a few days. Grab some rocks, plant a flag, take a few selfies, then go home. Meanwhile, Artemis seeks to set up a sustainable presence on the moon, including a base camp, habitation modules, and resource extraction, such as water ice from the lunar poles. This will enable extended missions and deeper exploration, including Mars and beyond. So, the Moon and Mars will need tons of equipment to be placed on the surface. This means we'll have to increase the amount of cargo we can carry on a single flight, or make each launch to the Moon or Mars cheaper, or both, something that SLS has yet to achieve. The expense of the SLS is the reason why people affirm that the project is in danger of being canceled. With Elon Musk's influence, the importance of reducing costs is being emphasized, and with his current relationship with President Donald Trump, this fear is not unfounded. Putting aside the shortcomings mentioned above, we can say that we have a launch system that meets the capabilities of the upcoming mission. What we will need after is a system that lands us on the moon's surface. This is something, arguably, we don't have yet. In 2021, NASA awarded SpaceX a contract for the development of the human landing system, which is based on the company's fully reusable Starship rocket design. A key feature of Starship's design is the ability to be refueled in orbit, which will make missions to the Moon more efficient and allow for greater flexibility in mission planning. Now, let me stop you right there. The ship itself can't just go straight to the Moon, as it already uses up its propellant to reach orbit. So, it needs refilling, which is orbital refilling, which is no one has ever done before, and this concept is now only on paper. Assuming the geniuses at SpaceX figured out how to refuel in orbit. How many flights do you think we'd need to refuel into the depot to fill a Starship lunar lander? In theory, at least 15. As we didn't even know the correct answer yet. Yup, that amount for every flight includes test flights to the Moon. But to be fair, knowing Elon Musk and SpaceX, I believe they would figure out a much more efficient way so that we cannot help but admire their genius. HLS will then have to perform its most important mission, landing on the Moon. We have seen SpaceX landing rockets many times before, but this is the surface of the Moon. There won't be a flat surface that has already been prepared for the human landing system to land, and certainly will not have giant metal arms to catch it. SpaceX is making great strides in developing Starship. Right now, they are focusing on its reusability. Once the V2 is complete, we'll set the base for the development of the lunar lander. A report published by the U.S. Government Accountability Office estimated that there is a 70% chance that the Starship HLS spacecraft will be ready to land on the Moon by early 2028. Okay, assuming all these technical issues are resolved in the future, there is still one issue that concerns me in this plan. The Apollo missions used a circular low lunar orbit, which is fairly close to the Moon's surface. Meanwhile, the Artemis program utilizes a near-rectilinear halo orbit, or NRHO, which, if you look at the demonstrated picture, is significantly bigger. The time to complete one NRHO orbit is 6.5 days. The problem is that if something goes wrong during the process that causes the landing to be aborted, the astronauts will have to wait to complete another loop. That's another 6.5 days drifting in space. It seems that Artemis 3 is a mission filled with uncertainty. Many technical components are unfinished. Many haven't been figured out. Parts of the plan raise questions about safety and effectiveness. All things considered, Artemis 3 doesn't look like it'll be ready for at least 10 years. Yet NASA is still pushing for the impossible deadline. Why is that? Besides the scientific reasons, there have always been political influences that have motivated NASA to return to the Moon. The US is not the only country aiming for the Moon this decade. China is hoping to land astronauts on the Moon by 2030. This year it has launched a probe to gather samples from the far side of the Moon, with the goal of returning them to Earth. India and other countries have landed uncrewed craft on the Moon in recent years as well. So it is reasonable that we would have to move fast if we didn't want to lose the race. Currently, President-elect Donald J. Trump nominated Jared Isaacman, a billionaire entrepreneur who led 2 private missions to orbit on SpaceX rockets, as the next NASA administrator. This will give the Trump administration the ability to seek much bigger changes at NASA, with rumors and speculation that NASA's giant moon rocket may be under threat. NASA needs to quickly address the delays and prove the effectiveness of the Artemis program. I don't think SLS will be canceled anytime soon. While Elon Musk's Starship has the potential to replace SLS for both launching and lunar landing missions, the project is still very ambitious. So far, NASA's space launch system is still the only rocket that can send Orion, astronauts, and cargo directly to the Moon in a single launch. And that just about wraps it up for today's episode. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you next time.